Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and since it's Women's History Month, I'm here today to talk to you about Crown Lake Season 1, the rundown review. So, I just rewatched Season 1, and because I watched this back when it first came out, and so I've been wanting to talk about this for the longest time, and I completely forgot about these Brat shows, because there's only two that I watched, this one and Zoe Valentine, because when the what virus hit, they had to put like a pause on a lot of this stuff, and sadly Zoe got the axe, but this one did not. This one survived, and it survived with a brand new cast with its third season. Third season is not particularly my favorite whatsoever. There's some interesting things that happen, but I feel like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Instead of telling like new stories with a new cast and their own individual dramatic stuff, they decide to go back to that season 1 and 2 and do like a like murder mystery, who is Heather type thing. We do find out some new things about the new people in season 3, but not much to really get you involved. Not like that of season 1. And season 1 is just very dramatic, very good. It goes in so many, it goes in pretty much one narrative direction. And there are a time when it steers off direction, goes in this huge dramatic thing that makes me think, where did this come from? And this is supposed to be a teen program, because they went pretty deep and hard on that and everything. And so that's what I liked about this series. I love the drama in it. I love the emotional drama in it. You really get invested in it. It's rich, it's deep, it's raw, and you can relate to a lot of the things that happen in this. If you ever went to school, which pretty much everybody has gone to school unless you've been homeschooled, you have gone through similar situations. You've had the bully, you had the best friend, you betrayed somebody, you felt alone, you felt isolated. Like, there's so many different emotions going on, and mainly in just this one character, but not just this one character, also the co-star of this show as well. And so that's what I really, really, really like about this show, and why I cannot stand season 3. I have no idea what happened in season 3, but they need to, if they're gonna have a season 4, they need to get back on ball. They need to stop this whole who killed Chloe thing and who Heather is and where's Nellie and all this other stuff, and just focus on like the cast and their problems and stuff. But now back to that of season 1. In season 1, I've already reviewed the first episode. We are introduced to a character named Eleanor. After getting pissed at her roommate Tiffany and everything, she decided to do what Heather said in the book. Now, Heather started off as nice. Heather was a girl who went to Crown Lake, but she couldn't tough it out, and she just went home. So she doesn't want this to happen to nobody else, so she writes down things that can help them survive Crown Lake. But surviving also turns them into a bully themselves. Nellie is going through a roller coaster of emotions, because she starts off as a nice girl, but then she quickly becomes that of not necessarily a mean girl, but like a bully kind, not necessarily a bully either, but just a dark character. It's kind of like Mean Girls with Caddy and everything, or Katie. Katie started off nice, then started doing some mean things to fit in. This is what I like about this show. It pulled from both Mean Girls and Pretty Little Liars. And so with this, I'm trying to remember, because I don't really want to go into too much detailing about what really happened. You could just watch it for yourself. It's on Hulu. Not Hulu. My bad. No, stop. It's not on Hulu. YouTube. Every episode is 10 minutes in both seasons. But then there are 2 episodes that are 20. So you can watch this, and you can watch one season in 1 hour and 38 minutes and everything. And so it's not long. You can like zip through them and everything. And you can either watch individual episodes on YouTube and Roku TV app, or you can do the whole marathon thing and just do the whole 1 hour and 38 minutes on YouTube. And that's how it is for season 2 as well. Now, when I started watching this show, I was confused. I'm like, okay, Heather must be like a real person. But the way Heather talks in the book is almost like she's talking to you in real time. Now and so with that, it's like I was starting to think: is she like a ghost? Is she like some type of spiritual energy type thing? Like what exactly is she and everything? And when you get to the last episode, which is very confusing, is you're even more confused as to what Heather is. Now, if you watch the third season and start off the third season, you will see a cloaked figure. Was that Heather? Was that somebody else? Don't know. And so it's this huge mystery of who Heather is. But here's the thing. You don't spend your time trying to figure out who Heather is in the first season, because you spend your time going through all the emotional stuff that's going through Tiffany and that of Eleanor slash Nellie. Now, Nellie, or technically Eleanor, because that's her real name, Eleanor, because she calls herself Nellie later on for a reason. So, Eleanor, she is our main protagonist. And she's this sweet, innocent young girl. And in the first episode, it is revealed that her mother is dead, her family is poor, and all this other stuff. As the series goes on, we learn more stuff about her and how her mother died. She blames herself for her mother's death. See, in the flashback, when she was home, she was supposed to go to her mom's job, but her friend came over and wanted to hang out. And so she left, and then when she didn't go to her mom's job, her mom came home looking for her. Two men break into the house and they murder her with a tire iron. And so because of that, she feels like if her mom didn't come looking for her, then her mom would never be dead. And she saw her mom's dead body on the floor. And so she carries around this little blue bird glass statue thing that her mom gave her. And so she, even though the family's poor, she's able to go to this prestigious school that's very expensive. For some reason, this one family is paying for her to go there, and she isn't sure why and everything. So with all that, she has to deal now with being the new girl at school. And she's constantly getting picked on and bullied by everybody, but mainly her roommate, Tiffany. And so no matter how she tries to fit in, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work to the point where even when she tries to talk to this guy who's actually being nice to her because he's new himself, Tiffany ends up stealing him from her. And Tiffany doesn't want her interacting with her boyfriend in any kind of way whatsoever. And so this is what causes her to go down a dark path and do what Heather wants. See, like Heather, like I said before, was a girl who like later just left school because she couldn't tough it out. And so she doesn't want nobody to go through that again. But Heather tells you straight up, if you tell anybody about me, I will come after you and stuff. So Heather has like a bunch of rules, right? Don't eat the pudding. I'm trying to think of all the other rules. Okay, she wants you to give yourself a nickname. She says if you give yourself a nickname, then nobody else will pick on you, which doesn't make no sense. So Eleanor picks the name Nellie for some reason. And that doesn't stop people from getting picked on. They can still pick on you and everything. But why would she give herself that type of nickname? Normally when you give yourself a nickname, it's something strange, like, you know, Captain Proton or Mr. Fantastic or something like that, you know, little player or something like that, you know. It's just like, you know, you get yourself like that type of nickname, not like a name nickname, but hey, whatever. And so as she's going through school, she butts heads with the head mistress and everything. And there's an actual reason why Nellie was late, and that causes the head mistress to be upset. And so they kind of like have a back and forth of words because she is a smart mouth and she will defend herself and stuff like that. So there was an actual legit reason why her and the head mistress don't like each other, as opposed to that of season 3. And so Heather has her do all this bad stuff. Like she wants her to like gossip about somebody. She wants her to find out something about somebody at school, go to this thing in the basement called a tattle wall and write something in red marker only. And so she doesn't have no gossip, but then she keeps seeing Chloe come out of this one teacher's room. She assumes there's something going on between them, like a student-teacher relationship, you know what I'm saying? And so she decides she's gonna write gossip about her. It's kind of like Mean Girls in that Burn book type thing. And so it sucks because one, she's going down to the dark side, and two, Chloe is the only person who is nice to her. Chloe is kind of like this rebellious type girl who gets picked on herself. Everybody at school hates her because she's Tiffany's old roommate. And so when she writes on there, of course, this makes everybody like giggle and laugh at Chloe. But then one day when she sees Chloe go to that teacher's room again, she spies on her. And it turns out him and another teacher are actually helping her with her slam poetry, because slam poetry used to be huge in the 90s. And so now she feels terrible and she goes and she paints over what she wrote. And then in comes Chloe. Chloe is pissed and she's upset. Now, one thing I never understood about this is why did Chloe pin her for writing that on the tattle wall? Because think about it. She could have just been like, oh, I don't like what this says, and I erased it. So I never understood why she jumped to conclusions and stuff. But, you know, Nellie talks to her a little bit, and, you know, the bridges have been burnt, but, you know, they decide, you know, water under the bridge type thing. And so one day, I told you about the whole skirmish that her and Tiffany had, right? So basically, it's like popcorn got thrown at one another. Nellie picked up something, threw it at somebody, and it hit a teacher, and they both got detention. So now that Tiffany and Nellie both have detention, of course, Tiffany's being her buttheaded self. She's pissed, talking about, you know, after all the bad stuff I've done, I never got detention and stuff like that. So Nellie decides that before she had detention, she's gonna, like, you know, bone up on how to survive detention. So she decides to watch The Breakfast Club. And there she meets a guy named Josh, and they start to bond and like each other. So Nellie is trying to find a way to escape that of detention and everything. And so they're in there with like a padded key lock. And so Nellie's trying to crack it, but can't. And then Tiffany gives her like 2 sets of numbers. The first set doesn't work, but the second one does. And that makes Nellie suspicious as to how Tiffany would know these numbers. Why would the headmistress pick these numbers out of random numbers and stuff? And so after sneaking away, they just decide to, because they can't really like go nowhere and be caught. So I think they might go like off campus and just like sit down and they talk. And that's when they start to bond with one another, because Tiffany realizes, hey, you're a little bit of a rebel and everything yourself, and or a little bit of a bad girl. And so Tiffany likes that. And they just have like a nice talk and everything. And so their relationship starts to change after this. And so it's kind of gonna be hard because, you know, Tiffany don't like Chloe and Nellie likes Chloe and everything. So, and also the whole Ryan thing, because Tiffany will not let Nellie, like, you know, associate with Ryan whatsoever. But anyway, after that nice little bonding moment, Nellie decides to go on a date with that Josh dude. And Josh turns out to be the son of one of the teachers, the teacher that Nellie assaulted by mistake when she threw that thing. And so Josh starts off as a really nice guy and they're really hitting it off. But one of the demands by Heather is that you should join the scavenger hunt and all this other stuff. And so she decides to join. Well, I noticed something when they were doing the scavenger hunt. It was all guys and Nellie was the only girl. I thought that was kind of weird. And so before that, she was talking to Chloe about how she met like Josh and this and that. And so Chloe just tells her, you know, just be careful around him and stuff like that, but she doesn't go into detail. So Chloe knows more than what she's leading on, right? And so after the whole scavenger hunt thing, It's time now for the big reward. And Nelly has no idea why everybody's like laughing at her. And so one of the boys are like, well, you gonna kiss me, the cheek or the lips? And so she has no idea what's going on. So it's gonna be one of those situations. And so the guys are like, well, we thought you knew the rules. And the rules is if a girl joins and they win, then they have to kiss the guy and everything. Nelly is completely uncomfortable by this. You can see Tiffany's uncomfortable by this as well. By her friends are like laughing at like Nelly and stuff. And then we see, of course, Chloe looking uncomfortable as well. Well, in comes Ryan to save the day and everything. And so Nelly is pissed at Chloe because she's all like, you should have warned me about this whole rule thing. And she's all like, well, I didn't think like, you would like actually do it and all this other stuff. And she warned her about Josh and everything. So the whole her and Josh thing, it gets to the point where Nelly wants revenge. Nelly is now going down an extremely dark path. This school is changing her for the worse, and the school is supposed to bring out the best in people because it's a prep school. But so she knows that Josh is like allergic to chocolate. So she decides to give him coffee and put a chocolate bar in there. And she gives it to him where his throat closes up and he has to be like rushed to the hospital and everything. And so, I think Chloe was kind of like, she was trying to warn her, telling her, this dude is not worth like poisoning and stuff like that. Like she literally tried to like warn her and stuff. And so, as this is going on, now that Nelly has done like a terrible bad thing, now they're trying to make the audience like her again. And it's revealed why her mother died. Now, something happened to her at school. Something so bad, so tragic. I can't remember exactly what. I just watched this last night. God, what is it? Something happened. I should have wrote notes. But it causes her to, oh, that's why it was just the whole scavenger hunt thing that pissed her off so much, and people laughing at her and people not telling her the truth. And so it caused her to just want to go home. And so she packed all her stuff and she just walked on out of there, and she caught the bus back home to her dad's surprise and everything. So he's talking to her, but the person who owns the cafe is giving her more advice, talking about how like your mom, this is the part that kind of went left field. It was something completely unexpected. The person who worked there is saying like, oh, your mom, that's where she met like your father at Crown Lake, and your mom had goals and dreams, but she gave that all up and she left Crown Lake to go and like, be with like your father. And so, yeah, so it's like her mom used to be coming from this very rich family. Her mom was prestigious. Her mom was a prep, and she left that all for like the poor boy and everything. And so, well, maybe he went there too. I'm not sure. No, he didn't go there, but she just left that school for him. I got a different revelation. I'll make a separate video now. I won't explain it in this, but I'll just make a separate revelation. So anyway, no, that can't be right because of the year. You know what? I don't know. Anyway, I'll tell you later what it is. So anyway, so one day Nelly decides to go into the back storage room, and she finds there her dad drunk, passed out with a bottle and like a little sleeping mat. He's been sleeping there. It turns out that her father lost their house, and he's been sleeping at his job, and he went back to drinking. See, Nelly didn't want to leave her father in the first episode because she said she had to take care of him. We didn't know exactly what that was until a couple of episodes later. And so he has a drinking problem. He's been drinking ever since the mom died. And so, so she gets on to him about this and talking about how you have to turn your life around. I was not expecting it to go this deep and this hard of emotion with him having an alcoholic problem, because these brat shows are kind of a little bit teeny boppy and everything. They're more, and then so it's not on the level of Disney Channel But I was surprised they was able to get away with this. And then not only that, but then there's Mr. Rhodes comes in. He's the one who's been paying for Nellie to go to that school. When he sees she's not at school, he is upset. He's like, what am I paying you for? And then he tells the father, get your daughter straight and everything. So then the father decides to confess to Nellie about how the mom died. It wasn't the mom who was supposed to die, it was him. See, Mr. Rhodes is a mobster. And so apparently the dad got involved in some of that stuff and probably like owed him some money. Well, when they came home looking for him, they found the wife instead and decided to send a message that way. And so that is how Nellie's mother died. And she is, of course, pissed off, furious, but she's not mad at her dad for some bizarre reason. They didn't decide to go that route. Not sure why, maybe because it's only 10 minutes. But, you know, after that, she decides to go back to school and like tough it out. Because of this, her and Tiffany start to bond more. So let's get into Tiffany a bit. Now, I'm not going to get into Chloe because even though Chloe is the main character, there's not much revealed about her other than like, you know, slam poetry thing, which by the way, when she did her slam poetry, it got interrupted because Josh, you know, had an allergic reaction to the chocolate. And you'll see in this scene when she's doing a slam poetry, people are like snapping their fingers. Why? This used to be a huge hipster thing in the 90s when a bunch of people would go to like coffee houses and people would read their poetry and then instead of applauding, they snap their fingers. I don't think they do that no more. Thank God. So Tiffany is this extremely bratty, rude, nasty, disgusting little girl. Let's just get that out the way now. She's mean, she's rude, she's the Regina George of the show. And so she like scared her old roommate away and she's mean to Nellie. And so she's just a terrible person. But then it turns out the numbers of the padlock to the headmistress like door, the reason why she knew the numbers is because it was her birthday. It turns out the headmistress is that of her aunt. And Tiffany, for some reason, has a weird relationship with her mom. Her mom keeps leaving messages and she will not return them. Then when she's on the phone, because this is before caller ID on a cell phone, so she picked up and it's her mom. And then she's talking to her mom and it's a weird thing going on. We don't know exactly what. And so she hangs up on her mom, and then there's the situation with her brother. See, she keeps telling all the girls in school, oh, my brother, you know, touring in France and he's doing this and he's playing this sport. And so she's making all this stuff up about her brother to make him seem bigger than what he is. Well, one day, Nellie was going to her room and then she sees Tiffany and Tiffany's mom there. Tiffany's mom is going to take her away on a little trip. Tiffany does not want to go along. She can't handle it. So she grabs Nellie and basically just kidnaps her and everything. And so they go to some type of like mental rehab place, a mental ward. And Nellie has no idea why she's there. And Tiffany will not tell her. And so she's completely left in the dark until it's time to visit somebody. Tiffany has to visit her brother. Something happened to him that causes him to, like, you know, not be mentally right in the head. This pains Tiffany. Tiffany does not like seeing her brother like this because he used to be like a big, proud person. And now he no longer is. And she could not deal with seeing him by herself because she would have just broke down and cried. So she brought Nellie for like support. So this causes them to bond even more and be better friends. The only problem is when Tiffany's around Nellie by herself, she's nice to her. But the moment her friends come around, she's mean and ice cold to that of her and Chloe. So when it comes to Tiffany and Ryan, they are like planets apart. Like they are complete polar opposites. So she invites him to play croquet and she like tells, oh, you know, this was invented in like this country and, you know, and blah, blah, blah. And she dresses up very formal. And he's all like, well, I didn't know I had to dress up. He's just dressed like a regular casual person. And he's all like, you know, I don't play croquet. It's not my thing. I like foosball and everything. You want to play that? And so she's all like, look, we'll play croquet today and foosball later. But she doesn't know how to play it. So she asks Nelly. Nelly's insulted, like, oh, because every like poor person from like this part of the country knows how to play foosball and everything. Nelly is a mouthy person when she stands up for herself. But she teaches Tiffany how to play it, but Tiffany's not really good. So when it comes to her date of foosball, she doesn't want to seem weak. She wants to seem confident. So she's all like, let's just play Sega instead, and lied about her wrist hurting. And so there's a big dance coming up, right? It's where the guys ask the girls, but the guys ask the girls in a very special way with a mask. And so if the guy gives you a mask, he wants to, well, duh, go with you and stuff. Tiffany hasn't got her mask yet, and she's getting really pissed. So at some point in time, Nelly and Ryan are trying to figure out who Heather is, because she tells him who Heather is. So she shows him the Heather book, and he thinks this is like bad stuff, right? And you know, Ryan's a good guy. He even went to the headmistress all like, people are being bullied on your side of the campus, because the guys and the girls campus are like a forest apart. Like, no, literally like a forest apart. Like, it's like you cross the forest and then boom, it's the boys campus. And so anyway, well, we never see the boys campus. So anyway, so they're looking in the yearbooks. They're looking 93 and they're looking 92, and they can't find no Heather Masters. And so like they think maybe it's an alias and everything. And so they don't understand why this person will write this stuff in the book and everything. But Nelly tells him, you know, this person wants me to survive and everything. And he's all like, that's great, but like the thing she's making you do is like terrible and stuff. And so at one point, when Chloe and Nelly are just like hanging out, talking and stuff, in comes Ryan, and he just bypasses Tiffany. Like, I'll talk to you later. And then he goes up to Nelly, and he asks her out to the dance. This, of course, infuriates Tiffany, but Nelly turns him down. She tells Chloe, you know, because see, this is the thing. Remember I said Tiffany and Nelly were like bonding, becoming friends? Tiffany decided to tell the truth about the bird. She said, I did break it and everything. And so this makes Nelly confused, because she thought Heather did it. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is that Nelly has been receiving 2 notes from that of Heather. The first time we see a person put their hand on the door, and it's kind of like a tannish kind of hand, but it's not black and it's not white. And so it's kind of like a opaque kind of color or whatever. So then another time we see the point of view of the students at school, and somebody's walking towards them. The kids are kind of snickering at this person's appearance. Why? Don't know. And then they put a letter underneath Nelly's door coming from Heather. So anyway, after all this and stuff, like I said before, you know, she thought Heather did all this stuff and not Tiffany. So in a way, she tells Ryan why she can't go with him and everything, and you know, and all this other stuff. And so he decides he's gonna try to figure out who Heather is. So while they're both at the dance, not with each other and everything, tensions are a bit running high a little bit. And then this is the weird episode, the last episode, that is kind of confusing. So at some point he goes to Nelly when she's drinking something, and he tells her he knows who Heather is. He's all like, she's been under your nose this entire time and everything. But then this is what's so weird. She starts to wig out. So I'm thinking, did somebody poison her? Did somebody spike her drink? And she's wigging out so much that she kind of goes in this other realm in her head. And so this is the part that makes no sense. And we see Heather, the actress who plays her, wearing a mask, and her face is concealed in the darkness, so you can't really see her. This actress has done other Brat stuff before, so all you gotta do is look up and you know exactly who she is. And so she's all like, think, Nelly, think. Who do you think Heather is? And so Nelly starts thinking long and hard about like Tiffany and everything. And then she starts to think about Tiffany's old roommate who she's never met, and how Tiffany scared her away and all this other stuff. And so she finally is starting to piece together that it's Chloe. So when she wakes up from this weird hallucination she's having, everybody in like the room is gone. The teachers are gone, the headmistress is gone, all the students are gone, and it's just Chloe. And she's all like, "It's you, you're Heather and everything. Why have you been like lying and betraying me this entire time?" And so then Chloe's all like, "I need to take you somewhere." And then so she takes her into the room on a tattle wall thing, and we see tons of girls there. And I'm like, what the world's going on? And as Millie is walking, and this is where the writing just gets weird and they're trying to rush everything in 10 minutes. As Nellie is walking through the hallway, she's seeing pictures of like people who went there in the past. And like their eyes are circled out, and she's looking at the writing on these people's signature and everything, and it matches that of like the Heather book. And she's all like, "Are all these people Heather?" And so when she goes in the room with all those students, all of a sudden, like Tiffany's there, her bully friends are there, everybody there, and they're all like, and they reveal that they're all Heather. And what it is that every new person that goes there gets a Heather book. And so they can fit in the campus because Heather, left. And so Chloe was the former roommate of Tiffany, and and then she got the Heather book as well. So she's the one who gave it to Nellie, because she said she didn't want Nellie to like leave campus and everything, because she saw she was new and an outsider, and she didn't want the same thing that happened to Heather to happen to that of, you know, whatchamacallit. And so they're all like, because Heather left school, and so this is just a way to like toughen up the girls and keep them there and stuff. So of course they gave the book back to Nellie, and they're like, "You have to give it to the new student." So I'm thinking to myself, if every girl is Heather, then so apparently like it must be every girl on that campus, because every girl at some point was new. But how do they pass the book on to everybody individually on their first day, unless there's multiple books? But it seems to be only one book. But then she states that every girl is given a Heather book, make it seem like there's more than one. So it's kind of wishy-washy and it's kind of confusing. So does that mean the teachers are involved as well? Because they went there at some point. And so then it has to debate the question of what year did Heather go there and everything, because they never really truly explain that. So there's a new girl on campus, and of course Nellie gives her the book and everything. And she even tells her, because like the whole pudding thing, like, the whole pudding thing is supposed to be because there are rat tails that are found in the laboratory, not laboratory, but the factory that it comes from, and stuff like that. So then this is where the twist comes at the very end. Nellie is in class and she's opening up her book, and there's a message from Heather. But before that, she sees Heather's name rented out the book, and rented it out in 92. And so, um, whatchamacallit, there's a message, and the message talking about like, "Oh, you thought you can get rid of me that way? Oh no, I am not finished with you," and everything. So it's kind of like, wait, hold up. So is Heather every girl at school? Was there an actual Heather? And if she was in 92, then how come they didn't find her in the yearbook? So if it could be an alias, and Heather told people literally, give yourself a nickname, so the name could be fake. Now, I was going to make an individual video about my revelation of who Heather might be. But then I stopped and thought to myself, no, it can't be, because that's dumb, because that person's dead. Now, we know Heather left school because she couldn't tough it out. The only person that's ever been stated of leaving that school is Nellie's mom, but Nellie's mom is dead, so it can't be her. Also, the book states that Heather was there in 92, so it can't be no older woman who faked her death and then decided to go to school there, unless she did fake her death. And like, you know what? Maybe I will make this into an individual episode, video. And so this is why season one is so interesting. Season one just takes you for like a weird loop, and then it takes you on a journey, and then it hits you with this big twist at like the end. And you know, every main character on there gets like, you know, we get to learn a little bit about them and everything. We get to learn a lot about, of course, Tiffany and Nilly, but we learn a little bit about the recurring characters who are like the co-stars. And it's just enough to make you wonder who Heather is, and should you pin it on them. That's a good thing as to why Chloe wasn't like, we don't know that much about her, because it was the big revelation at the end. Now we do get to know more about her in the second season and stuff. And so like, that's one cool thing they did, is like they gave the recurring characters enough information that makes you think, okay, they're recurring characters, not main, and there's a reason for them being there. You know, you got to pin this Heather thing on somebody, as opposed to season 3, which gave us all these profiles of all these people, but they really don't do much in the show. And because nobody is trying to pin it on Heather, because now Heather seems to be just completely different. Now Heather just seems to be this evil person who wants to try to go around killing people and stuff. And so I will be making an individual episode about who I think Heather is. It's a wild shot. It's a crazy theory, but this show is crazy itself. So whatever. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.